Hello viewers, today we're going to be changing the oil on my brother's 2003 Mustang here, convertible V6. As you can see, it looks pretty good and... What?
I just fixed this like a year ago.
Yeah, seriously though, I did redo the front end of this car, new bumper, hood, fender and everything, and the story I hear behind this is a friend of his backed into him. He's already got the insurance money and everything, and he's just deciding where to get it fixed. But in the meantime, he's due for another oil change, so let's get that done. And just out of habit, something that I've done while changing oil is take the oil cap off, set it on top of the engine, and then pull the dipstick out. That way you know that there's no oil in the engine yet, and you don't start it up or close the hood without adding oil. Then we'll raise the vehicle up. Grab a 15mm ratcheting wrench in the oil drain. One thing I've found that you can really benefit from when draining the engine oil, if you don't want to coat your hand in engine oil and get it all full of oil, well, first off, wear gloves. But as you can see, I'm not wearing gloves. And my simple excuse is I ran out. Wow, yeah, real professional. The best thing I've found to do is if you're going to be removing an engine oil drain plug and you want to get the least amount of engine oil on your hand, loosen the drain plug, obviously, with a wrench. Then once you get it to the point where it can be turned by hand, just spin it. And as long as it's coming out all the way easily, should be good to take it out the rest of the way by hand. Once it reaches a point to where the engine oil drain plug is loose like so and it's ready to fall out, position your pan underneath the engine oil drain plug. Make sure that it has a little screen that will keep the engine oil drain plug from falling into the oil drain, and just let it fall out. Minimal amounts of oil on my hand, next to nothing. Now as you can see, the engine oil is draining over here, but the filter is way over here. My drain pan isn't large enough to catch both the oil from the filter and the drain simultaneously, so I wait for the engine oil to drain first from the oil pan, then I'll take the filter out. So while that engine oil is draining, let's talk about something that I'm sure is going to be a debate and discussion for as long as cars are in existence, at least with an internal combustion engine that's lubricated with engine oil. And that is, how often should you change your engine oil? I don't have 30-40 years of experience, but I have been doing this at a dealership since I was 17. I went to a technical college for training, and I've done a lot of oil changes myself. And here's what I've found, guys. Go by the owner's manual. The manufacturer who built the car, who put that owner's manual together, you follow their instructions and you shouldn't have any problems. Going 3,000 miles between oil changes, unless you're in super extreme conditions like nothing but little short trips or extreme temperatures or just running the crap out of a vehicle with towing, if you're not doing that, there's really no need to change your engine oil every 3,000 miles. You're just wasting money, really. Modern vehicles these days can go from 5,000 to 7,500 miles between oil changes very easily. Some will go even more. For example, my Ford Fusion, the engine oil life expires at about 10,000 miles. Now, I personally am not going to go that long. I'm going to go about every 5 to 7,500 because I do a lot of highway driving. And there are other things you have to take into consideration as well. How much oil is the engine burning? How much is it leaking? How much does it hold in the first place? If you've got a Toyota Camry that's leaking and burning oil and the little 4-cylinder only holds like 3.8 quarts, it's probably a good idea to change your engine oil every 3,000 miles, simply because it's going to be getting a little low on oil as it leaks and as it burns. And yeah, I get it, you can top the engine oil off, but that capacity is so small. You're only talking about 4 quarts of oil in there. That's going to get dirty really quick. When you look at a more modern vehicle that has about 8 quarts or maybe even 10 quarts of engine oil in it, it makes more sense that you can go a longer range, like 10,000 miles between an oil change. And now the other question, do you use synthetic blend, or regular conventional oil? Well, again, it depends on what kind of vehicle you have. If you have a Corvette Z06, some high performance engine that is reaching extremely high engine oil temperatures, you're going to be wanting to use a full synthetic oil because the oil is going to break down faster as it's exposed to those higher temperatures. If you've got a vehicle like this V6 Mustang that's never going to see over 180, 190 degrees on the engine coolant temperature, which isn't a direct reading of the engine oil temperature, but usually engine oil temperature is about 20 to 30 degrees higher on a vehicle like this, there's no need to use synthetic oil. Regular conventional oil will go just fine for 5,000 miles. I think it's a good idea to get under your vehicle every 5,000 miles or so and just check everything out, especially on an older vehicle like this that could spring a leak somewhere or could have suspension and steering components wearing out. Which leads me to another point. It also depends on how well you know the vehicle that you're working on. With my 2016 Ford Fusion, I could easily go 10,000 miles between an oil change because I know the vehicle. I know the tires are new. I know the brakes are new. I know there's nothing leaking. I know it's a newer vehicle, so there's less likely to be anything going wrong with it. It all depends on the type of vehicle you have and how well you know it. The number one piece of advice you can give anyone when they buy a new car is change that engine oil right away, because you don't know when it was done last. You don't know what was put in it. If you change that oil immediately right when you get that car, you know what oil you put in it, you know when it was done and who did it. And engine oil is the blood of your engine, so to speak. Without it, or if it's bad, your engine's not going to live long at all. And quite possibly one of the funniest excuses I hear from people about not changing their engine oil is they can't afford it. A full tank of fuel in most vehicles costs more than an engine oil change these days. For the life of me, can't understand how people can say, oh, I can't afford an oil change right now. Really? You can't not afford to change your oil, because in most cases it's going to cost less than a full tank of gas, especially if you do it yourself. All right, all that being said, we're down to just a few drips coming out of the oil pan here, so let's get back to business. Now, while we're on the topic of engine oil change frequencies, I decided to talk about one more thing because I'm sure it's going to be brought up in the comments. What about these oils that claim you can go 25,000 miles between oil changes? Stuff like AMSOIL or Royal Purple. While I have no problems with that type of oil, I'm sure they're really, really good oils. It's not the oil that I have a problem with. The problem that I have with that idea is the frequency of your oil change. The interval is way too long. If you're gonna go 25,000 miles between oil changes, you better have a brand spanking new vehicle that isn't going to burn or leak a drop of oil. Because the problem is, it is considered normal by vehicle manufacturers to burn a certain amount of oil as the engine is running. So that presents us with this problem. If your manufacturer considers it normal for the engine to be burning, let's say, a quart of oil every 1,500 miles, and your engine oil capacity is only 5 quarts, well, you sure ain't gonna go 20,000 miles between an oil change and not having to add more oil. And because that oil is so expensive, so much more expensive than regular conventional oil, you might as well just change your oil every 5,000 miles using conventional. It's going to be the same amount of money, if not less, and you'll get under your vehicle more often and be able to check things out. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some discussion on this, and I'm sure there are people out there watching this video who use those full synthetic oils and have had really good luck with them, and that's fine. I'm not saying discontinue doing it or discontinue going your 20,000 miles between oil changes. In general, or in my opinion from what I've seen, I think it's good to change your engine oil every 5,000 to 7,500 miles and use regular conventional oil if that's what the manufacturer calls for. If they call for a synthetic blend, use a synthetic blend. I just don't like the idea of the same engine oil being in my engine for 20,000 miles. While you let the engine run for about 10 to 15 seconds before checking the engine oil level, check for leaks. And last but not least, check your engine oil and make sure that the level is good. It amazes me how many people skip this last and possibly most important step of your oil change procedure. You always want to make sure that your engine oil level is in a good range. In this case, as you can see, it's right between the half and the full mark, so I'll probably add a little bit more just to bring it up to the full mark there. I can't believe how many people skip that step. It is possibly the most important step when changing your engine oil, besides adding the new oil in the first place. Now, in closing, I just want to say everything that I said in this video is my opinion and what I've been doing for the past 10 years or so here with engine oil changes. I'm not saying you should drop whatever you're doing and do it my way, because my way is the only way. No, if anything, I'm just giving people tips who might be looking for advice when changing their own oil. If you've found a way to change your engine oil that works great for you and you have no problems with it, use it. That is perfectly fine with me. If anything, let me know in the comments what you think. I'm open to ideas. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you next time.